This weekend saw more protests and outrage in response to Arizona's controversial immigration law, even after the governor added changes which she says make it clear that racial profiling won't be tolerated. Here to talk about it are Allison Stewart, co-anchor of Need to Know on PBS, S.E. Cupp, author of Losing Our Religion, the liberal media's attack on Christianity, and Congresswoman Linda Sanchez, a Democrat from California. Welcome, ladies. Congresswoman, do you believe that the new changes will stop racial profiling?
No, I don't. That's the problem with the bill. The bill was written in an overly broad way, which gives great discretion to police officers to stop people who they think are not in the country legally. And I'd like to hear their definition of what an American citizen looks like, because I think without playing into stereotypes and racial profiling, you really can't come up with an answer for that. And
yes.
I think that the bill is fundamentally flawed.
Essie, what is this going to be based on then?
Well, you know, I got to say, even as a conservative, I don't love this bill. I think it's a little aggressive, and constitutionally, I think it's going to run up against problems. But the idea that the law enforcement can go out and target quote-unquote brown people now just for looking brown is a little hysterical and paranoid. They don't have any more freedom and flexibility on that than they did before the bill was passed.
Right.
But it doesn't matter how much they address this, that's always going to be this sort of PR problem with this bill.
Well, you know, it was funny because Frank Rich this weekend had a column about it. He writes that Brian Bilbray, a Republican congressman from California and another supporter of the law, rode to the rescue by suggesting, quote, they will look at the kind of dress you wear. So he writes, wise Latinas better start shopping at Talbot's. Congresswoman, what do you think about that?
It's ridiculous, and Sheriff Arpaio also said he could tell what illegal immigrants look like by what they were wearing. Basically, it's a very classist way of looking at things and targeting people who look poor. I mean, one of the things that this bill allows people to do is go to homes where a car might be up on blocks and say, you know, hey, you're in violation of the municipal code. Show me your papers. Joy, I don't know how many times you might leave the house a week without your ID, maybe to go to the gym, or you transferred purses and you forget it. That's happened to me before, certainly. Right. And if you don't look the right way or the way they want you to look, they can pull you over. If you don't happen to have it on you, away you go for who knows how many hours to try to sort the whole mess out. I think it's ridiculous. It's punitive. It's draconian. It's clearly unconstitutional. And I just think it shows the worst of this fear in this country, that they want to target whatever groups they don't like or that seem other and protect us somehow from them. I really don't understand it, and it's really disappointing.
Allison?
Well, I'm wearing Talbots and I'm brown, so I guess I can drive safely. The thing I think is sort of interesting is, as I've heard a lot of people talk about this, the people I've heard who don't think racial profiling is going to happen usually don't really look like the people who might be profiled unless they're profiling people from Norway. You know, it's difficult to think about what are they going to use as their criteria. And I feel I feel that police officers are going to be put in a really, really difficult position.
Right.
I mean, they're darned if they do, and they're darned if they don't.
And all you need is one sort of like rogue cop who really is out to get you. Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a high-level organization that monitors hate groups, they say that a racist group is partially behind the drafting of the law. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's my understanding that there are links between the group and white supremacist groups. Some of their membership crosses over, and that's really troubling because here you have extreme hate groups working through another organization to present legislation that clearly has a racial intent, and they're trying to sort of peddle that to many different states, and we should be very concerned about that.
We are concerned. And I think it's interesting, don't you, that people are protesting this in large numbers? I mean, I feel good about that. I feel that this is America.
Yeah,
and
but
we don't put up with that.
Let's not get crazy. Illegal is not a race. It's not an ethnicity. It's a legal status. And I understand the concerns. I understand the fears. But at its bottom, Arizona is at a breaking point, and Arizona, I think, felt like they had to go rogue and kind of do something that the federal government wasn't doing. People are dying at the border, and this was, I think, a lame attempt at addressing that.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Congressman.
But Arizona likes to pretend it's the only state along the border. It's not. There are lots of other states that have those kinds of challenges. But until we can get a comprehensive immigration reform bill that makes sense, that is orderly, that doesn't split families apart for decades, then you're never going to be able to sift out who are the real criminals at the border and the drug cartels, and who are the honest, hardworking people.
And
that
I think Representative makes
feed their families.
She does. If there's a silver lining in all of this, maybe people will start to differentiate between people who mean to do ill and people who just want to feed their family, make some money, and possibly
how will they
make a better life.
differentiate?
But maybe people can. Maybe at this point we'll understand that there's illegal immigrants isn't just a giant one palette. There's lots of different colors in the palette. People want to work hard and people who mean you harm.
Okay, everyone stay right there. We'll be back in a minute with more.